We just made a net profit of $23,934 in just 21 days from this wholesale deal. Let's talk about it. So this lead came from radio, of course, our favorite marketing channel. And this was not technically an inherited house because the owner or the seller's mother had not passed away. However, she was in a nursing home and she was incapacitated, so she was not able to make decisions for herself. But luckily for this seller, he had already put a power of attorney or a POA in place between him and his mom 2 or 3 years before she even entered into the nursing home. Even though the seller had a power of attorney for his mom, we still had to confirm that she was in her right mind at the time this power of attorney was executed, because we've dealt with some deals where someone owns a property, they're no longer in their right mind, maybe they have dementia, they've had a stroke, can't talk, or whatever the case may be, and one of their family members, be it their son, their grandson, whoever, decides to do a power of attorney, falsify this person's name and try to sell their property or gain access to that person's assets, all right? That is illegal. And so you always have to verify the legitimacy of a power of attorney. So if you don't know, what a power of attorney does is allows a seller to give someone else the power to handle their finances or personal dealings when they are no longer able to do so mentally. And that includes being able to sell real estate and or get into the seller's bank accounts if necessary. So in this case, the property belonged to a lady. It was her son who ended up calling us from the radio ad. He was looking to sell the property. He was just playing with the idea, wanted to get some offers. He had 2 adult sons who were both living in the property. Neither one were paying the taxes. Neither one were paying on the mortgage, and they weren't giving him anything. They were pretty much just paying water and electric. There were back taxes on the house. And so he decided, you know what, it's time for them to grow up and move around, and I'm gonna go ahead and sell this property if I can get a good offer for it. On a scale from 1 to 10, I would give this property about a 5, and I would rate it a 5 because it wasn't in tear down condition, it wasn't junked out, but it also had not had any updates in the last 5 to 10 years, but it was a solid structure, okay? We didn't see any foundation issues, and even though there were no updates, it was pretty well maintained for an older, outdated home. Now, this property was in the Highland Hills area, 75241 zip code. If you're familiar with DFW, we don't do a ton of deals over there, but we did some. And I know this is a hot area for fix and flip investors. And so I knew if we could land at a good price, we would be able to get a good spread on this deal. Now, initially, the seller was asking us for $129,000. I let him know initially we probably would not be at $129,000, but I still wanted to go ahead and set the property appointment to see where we could land on a hard offer, because my initial offer range, based on our first conversation and me just taking a look at Zillow and some other comps, I told him that we could offer somewhere between $90,000 and $110,000 for the property. And so since we were within a $20,000 range of our maximum allowable offer and what the seller was asking for, I went ahead and set the property appointment. Now, for us, if we're within a $20,000 range, I am going to always set the property appointment. It may seem like that's a far off number, but when we're talking about properties and hundreds of thousands of dollars, then a reduction can be easily made without really affecting the seller's expectation. I advise you, go on the property appointment, even if the seller is asking for more than you may be able to offer. If it's within that $20,000, $30,000, even $40,000 range, I would say it's worth it to go ahead and go on the property appointment just so you can drop your offer. A lot of times sellers come up with these asking prices. They have no basis for that. That's just what they want. So it's up to us as an investor or as a wholesaler to reset those expectations. And the best way to be able to reset those expectations is physically laying eyes on the property. So now when you come back with a hard offer that may be lower than what they asked, you can base it on the true condition of the house. So going on property appointments, in my opinion, kind of levels the playing field and gets you in a better position for negotiations later down the line. So after I walked the property, I ended up giving the seller an offer on the spot because he told me that he had 2 or 3 other guys who were also going to be coming over to look at the property. I wanted to go ahead and get the property locked up on spot, so didn't have to worry about other investors coming in and raising the price and things like that, and making the seller juggle between who he wants to work with and things like that. So I went ahead and dropped a hard offer at 105. He was still not happy with that because, like I said, he wanted 129, and he said another investor had told him over the phone that he could potentially get him 119. And so it was really nothing I could do at that point. I just had to, set a follow-up. I ended up reaching back out to the seller, asking him what had happened with the other investors. The other investor had dramatically dropped his price, and so he was no longer even interested in working with those people. And so I told him, hey, I talked to my partner Justin. We kind of seen where we can, cut back some costs. That way we can give you a more competitive offer. And we ended up landing and agreeing at $109,000 for the property. The seller went ahead and signed the purchase agreement. And a problem we ran into on this deal is, like I mentioned before, the seller had 2 adult sons who were living in the property. They were kind of not getting along because they were suspecting that he was going to be selling the property and they had to get out, which was the exact case. Once we agreed on the price, he did let them know that they had 30 days to vacate. At that time, they kind of made a fuss about it because they felt like it was quick. They didn't have anywhere to go. And so that's where we came in as the problem solvers in this situation. I ended up getting the contact number for one of the brothers who was staying there, gave him a call, said, hey, I know you guys just got this 30-day notice and have to relocate. I understand that was short notice, but if we could give you guys some cash to help expedite that process and help you move along, is that something that could help you? And if so, how much do you think you would need? They let us know that would absolutely help, and they will want somewhere around $1,000. And so that is what we ended up agreeing on. We gave both brothers $1,000 from this transaction to help them relocate, and they were actually able to do it in under 30 days, which is how we were able to get this from contract to close in just 21 days because the house was vacant on the day of closing. I know we get all caught up in the assignment fee. We want to protect that large assignment fee and make as much money as we can. But in order to solve some of these problems and get these deals to the closing table, sometimes you got to come up off some of that assignment fee. Now, it may seem like, oh man, $2,000, but that is the difference between us getting this closed in 21 days and this possibly dragging out for 30, 60 days because the occupants decided not to leave because they thought they were getting treated unfairly by being uprooted and moved so quickly. So instead of them thinking that we were working against them, we came in and said, hey, we want to work with you guys as well and make this a comfortable transition for everybody. And so once they understood that we were not just working with their dad to push them out and buy the house, but we were rather working for everybody's benefit to make it a win-win for all parties involved, then they were on our side and everything was easy and went smoothly from there. The only other issue we had, which was really not an issue at all, just part of the process, the house did have a mortgage of about $29,000, and so we had to use that POA to be able to allow the seller to get the mortgage payoff and provide that to the title company, which took like a week or so, so fit right within our timeline. We were able to get that payoff, and then we reached out to some buyers in the area who buy specifically in that zip code, and we know that because the name of their LLC. The name of their LLC is literally a subdivision in the zip code that we had this property in. So we know that they were definitely going to be interested in this property. We sent it out to them. They ended up locking this deal up at $135,000. That left us with a $26,000 assignment fee. But like I mentioned, we gave away $2,000 in cash for keys in exchange for the occupants to go ahead and relocate quicker. So that brought us down to $24,000. And then we paid a title cost that was like $66, which landed us at $23,934 as a net profit assignment fee that we was able to take home. We were able to find our buyer using PropStream, okay? This is a resource platform that we use, but what we like to do and how we quickly find buyers in any specific area is when I run comps on the home using an MLS, I'm gonna look for homes that have sold remodeled, and I'm also gonna look for properties that sold as is. And then when I find those properties that sold, we're gonna go to PropStream and see who the buyer is. And if the buyer is an LLC, then we're going to skip trace them and find their phone number, see who the members of that LLC are using opencorporates.com. Then we're going to skip trace them using fastpeoplesearch.com, give them a call and say, hey, so you guys just recently either bought or sold an investment property in this area, and I have another one I'd like for you to take a look at if you are still active in the area, all right? If that buyer is active, they are definitely going to want to take a look at your deal, and you should already have an idea of what they may pay based on the comps that were found, all right? So that's just a little secret sauce on how we are able to find our buyers by using our comps and PropStream together to get that information. A couple key takeaways that I want to make sure y'all pick up from this video, all right? One, always be prepared and open to the possibility of having to give money or part of your assignment fee to the tenants in order for them to relocate if you are buying or wholesaling a deal that is currently occupied, okay? The tenants are most of the time going to feel like they're getting the short end of the stick, especially if they are long-term tenants or if they are relatives of the property owner. So in order for you to not be the bad guy, you might have to come up off some bread, but trust me, it is always worth it. Anytime we have did cash for keys, it was well worth it. Second, you want to have software that you use like PropStream so you can be able to identify who the cash buyers are in an area. That way you can find them. And if you can locate buyers that are specifically buying in an area and are actively buying, you can probably get a good assignment fee, and you know you have serious buyers who will be able and ready to close quick. Third, you always have to question the legitimacy of a power of attorney, all right? There are a lot of scams going on, even within families. So if somebody calls about a property that their parents or grandparents own, and they say they have a power of attorney and that family member is still living, you want to know why do they have a power of attorney, okay? If that other person can make decisions for themselves, why do you have a power of attorney, all right? So you want to make sure that everything is legitimate. And if the person who owns the property is in a nursing home or some type of facility and the seller has a power of attorney over them, you want to make sure that the person who owns the house was in their right mind when they executed that power of attorney. A lot of times a title company is going to make sure that you confirm that, and they're going to want to confirm that, all right? So even though someone has a power of attorney, whoever actually owns the property, the title company is going to want to speak to them or even have them present during the final closing of the deal, whether that's, in the presence of a notary or whatever the case may be, just to validate that that person is actually competent enough to agree with what is going on. Now, if that person is incapacitated and cannot make decisions for themselves, then usually what the title company is going to want to do is reach out to a nurse or doctor at the care facility that person is at and confirm with the doctor, was this person in their right mind at the time that this power of attorney was signed? If the doctor says no, that power of attorney will be invalid, all right? So you always want to ask questions around that and make sure that everything is on the up and up, and that somebody's son or nephew or whatever is not just trying to get over on an elderly family member, okay? Always ask the right questions, y'all. It's going to help expedite your process and help put you in a position to make $23,934 in 21 days. That's all I got for y'all today, man. If you got any value at all from this video, go ahead and tap the like button. No, for real. Go ahead and tap the like button, because a lot of y'all don't be doing it. But if you do hit the like button, if you do share this with a friend, if you do leave a comment, I greatly appreciate it. I am trying to, tap into that YouTube algorithm so these videos can get a lot more playtime and I can give this game to a lot more people who are just starting out on their wholesale journey and could probably use some of these gems that I'm dropping. So go ahead and share, because you helping me may help somebody else. And don't that idea just sound great? Go ahead and subscribe to my channel if you are not already a subscriber, and go ahead and hit that little bell so you get notifications every time I drop game. 23K, 21 days, y'all. Until next time, tap in.